How can we access joy when our world seems joyless? Dale Carnegie, in How to Win Friends and Influence People, says, "It isn't what you have or who you are or where you are or what you are doing that makes you joyful. It's what you think about it." 2024 was a difficult year for me. My beloved dog Poncho got lung cancer. April, Poncho died. He had lived with us for 13 and a half years since he was a couple of weeks old. June, my daughter Leandra got cellulitis and had to be hospitalized. August, I found out I needed another hip replacement. October, my youngest brother and favorite sibling Jeff died after a simple surgery. November, the election. Don't get me started. And then in December, Leandra got a kidney stone, kidney infection, and sepsis. We spent Christmas and Hanukkah in Holy Name Hospital. Nope, it was not the best year. The day we came home from the hospital, I got an email from Marge, who's on the worship team at Pathways UU congregation in Texas. I've spoken there once a year for the last 5 years, and they have a monthly theme. Would you like to speak again at Pathways in April? Sure. What's the theme? Joy. 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 We had just gotten home from the hospital after that year. I thought, well, I guess I won't be speaking about that theme. Then Leandra said, maybe you need to speak about joy. Yeah, as usual, she was right. Well, I was not happy last year. I wanted my dog to live. I wanted my brother to live. I didn't want to hear that I needed another surgery. I wanted different election results. And I surely did not want my daughter to be hospitalized twice with life-threatening infections. When things don't go the way we want, we are unhappy. We can obtain everything we want: money, houses, cars, a mate, a beautiful body. But after we have our basic physical needs for food, clothing, and shelter, more money, more power, more things, the perfect mate, the perfect body will not make us happy. Sooner or later, we will run up against something we want but can't have. During the 2012 Olympics in London, a commercial was broadcast in the United States showing athletes winning medals. The words "moments of happiness" flashed across the screen. Many of the Olympians experienced moments of happiness when they won. However, second place winners, some silver medalists, cried, but not because they were happy. Third place winners, bronze medal winners, are often happier than silver. Why? Because happiness is relative. We often decide if we are happy by comparing ourselves to others or to our own expectations. Silver medalists compared themselves to the gold, to those who got something better, while bronze medal winners compared themselves to everyone who didn't get any medals at all. In addition, all medal winners, including the gold, returned to the same level of happiness that they had before they won. This is true for lottery winners as well. They all experience a moment of happiness when they win. However, those who are unhappy before their win return to being unhappy. Those who are happy before remain happy. Success may provide a temporary feeling of happiness, and tragedy can lead to depression. But one's overall happiness level always goes back to the starting point. Does this mean we are doomed if we feel unhappy? We can't experience joy? Well, joy is not happiness, even though the words are often used interchangeably. Eckhart Tolle says, quote, pleasure and happiness are always derived from something outside you, whereas joy arises from within. Joy is not a feeling. It is a state of mind. So when Pharrell Williams sings that he's happy, what he means is that he's joyful because nothing can bring him down. And in the video of Nina Simone's, the dancing girl was dancing for joy. That was coming from a place deep inside. When Leandra got sick in December, we were able to get to Holy Name Hospital quickly, since we live only 3 blocks away. She already had sepsis. Gratefully, there was no one waiting in the ER. They took her right away, pumped her with fluids and antibiotics, admitted her, and brought her to the OR. They saved her life, and I was profoundly grateful. One day, while she was still in the hospital, I walked down a new corridor there with floor-to-ceiling windows. The sun was bright and made patterns on the floor, and I could see the Manhattan skylight through the windows. It was awe-inspiring. I spoke to everyone who worked at the hospital with respect, despite the fear, worry, and anxiety I was experiencing. I saw an Orthodox Jewish ambulance medic and wished him a happy Hanukkah. He smiled and said, same to you. I told him we had spent the first 3 days of Hanukkah in the hospital. He replied, what better place to celebrate Hanukkah than in Holy Name Hospital? Of course, a Catholic hospital. And I laughed. Even though my daughter's situation was serious, I was still able to experience gratitude, a sense of awe, appreciate beauty, exhibit kindness, and laugh. This is joy, because joy is internal and not dependent on external situations or people. Joy is not fleeting. When circumstances change, as they inevitably do, it is still possible to feel true joy. It endures in any circumstance. It's also maximized when we feel part of a community and when we confront annoyances and crises with grace and compassion. Jewish tradition teaches us to trust that whatever our situation at any given time is exactly what we're supposed to have at that moment. This foundational Jewish belief brings us to a state of inner peace and calm, the underpinnings of joy. Worries and fears are the antithesis of joy. Tranquility and serenity are its basis. Even if our life is difficult, focusing on the myriad blessings contained within life, will bring us joy. These blessings occur every moment of our existence, things we take for granted due to their everyday commonness and familiarity. For example, our homes, electricity. Our power went out last week. Boy, did I take electricity not for granted. Our food and water, family, our friends, our sight, relative health, noticing and valuing beauty in nature, art, or human achievement, music. Religious Jews make 100 blessings every day to literally count blessings and take joy in the many amazing gifts we do have rather than focus on what we don't. To be truly cognizant of all one's blessings in life will bring joy into whatever we have because there is so much to be joyful about. These concepts allow us to build up within ourselves reservoirs of joy, which can take us through the more difficult times, cultivating a deeper, more enduring source of resilience. In a world heavy with pain and injustice, joy is a flash of resistance, a holy spark that keeps us bound to hope. And joy doesn't mean forgetting what's broken. It means remembering what's beautiful. It reminds us we are alive, connected, and capable of delight. Joy doesn't mean ignoring our own or the world's pain. It means honoring the full spectrum of life, grief and gratitude, despair and hope. Joy is not our reward for escaping pain. It demands that we confront negative feelings without letting them overwhelm us. Real life is full of disappointments, loss, and inconveniences. If we're going to live a rich and meaningful life, we're going to feel a full range of emotions. Happiness would be meaningless if not for sadness. Without the contrast of darkness, there is no light. If joy feels hard to access right now, you're not alone. It's hard to stay positive at a time when turmoil, anger, hate, and the potential erosion of our democracy seem to surround us. When the world feels chaotic, it's easy to get caught up in the endless scroll of bad news. Joy reminds us that life is happening here and now, not just in the headlines or our fears for the future. When the world feels heavy, joy can feel out of reach or even inappropriate. How can we laugh when others are grieving? How can we feel light when the weight of the world feels so profound? This reaction is deeply human. Our brains are wired to focus on threats and challenges. It's an evolutionary trait that helps us survive. But this hyper focus on what's wrong, looking at the news 24/7, can leave us stuck in a state of despair, unable to see moments of beauty and connection that still exist around us. Sharing joy builds a sense of community and belonging. It reminds us that even when the world feels heavy, we don't have to carry the weight alone. The ability to support and accept support from others is crucial. Quote, joy increases as you give it and diminishes as you try to keep it to yourself, end quote. Norman Vincent Peale. Simply talking to someone else can make us feel a little better. Many of us are searching for something to do that will make a difference right now. But research has shown that even small acts of kindness can increase our sense of well-being and make a difference in the world. So does joining a social action group to work on issues that are important to us. In the book Holy Woman, on the life of Chaya Sarah Kramer, despite experiencing the hellish hardships of Auschwitz, she was always full of joy. She learned from her mother that joy is not the result of a particular life situation, but rather the cause of a well-lived life. Joy is a choice, not an outcome. I'm going to say that again. Joy is not the result of a particular life situation, but rather the cause of a well-lived life. Joy is a choice, not an outcome. Miss Kramer was the only one left alive of all her siblings to be used by the sadistic Dr. Mengele for his inhuman experiments, leaving her barren. When asked by the author of her biography how she could always be joyful despite not having the children she so wanted, she replied, "What? I should be both barren and sad?" Viktor Frankl, the German Jewish psychiatrist, outlines the subhuman conditions and barbarism of the Nazi concentration camps in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, and saw in some of the inmates, including himself, that how one reacts to those conditions is a choice. All life has meaning, given that one looks for that meaning. Chaya Kramer and Viktor Frankl could find meaning and joy in the abyss of hell on earth. Certainly we can do so, even if our finances, the government, or other life situations are less than perfect. Itzhak Perlman, the violin virtuoso, once made his slow ascent to the stage, dragging his polio-stricken legs to the chair for his concert. When he began, one string snapped. Well, a violin can only be played with 4 strings. So the audience braced themselves for the slow reattaching of his leg braces and deliberate walk off the stage to have his instrument fixed, and then his difficult, slow, deliberate return. But after a moment's contemplation, Perlman suddenly exhibited his genius by playing his piece, somehow compensating for the lost string. When he finished, there was a shocked, prolonged silence in the room, followed by a thunderous standing ovation. Perlman raised his hand to silence the audience, saying, "Sometimes you need to play with what you have left." Well, I don't need to tell you that life can be difficult. Always feeling joyful is difficult, even impossible. But the goal is not to always feel joyful, but to have the resilience and equanimity to always return to joy. So to that end, I leave you with a 12-step recipe for joy. 1, live a meaningful life with thought and purpose. 2, utilize your gifts and your time. Be creative. 3, have a sense of self-worth. 4, be grateful for and appreciate everything you have. 5, live in the present. 6, be mindful and find the sacred in everyday life. 7, don't make comparisons to other people. 8, treat everyone with compassion and respect. 9, help others. 10, laugh a lot. 11, the secret of inner contentment and joy is not to have what we want, but rather to want and appreciate what we have. And 12, finally, to have joy, decide to be joyful. So find your joy, let it nourish your soul, and then share it. As Nina Simone says, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. Feeling good. Thank you.
If you like this video, please like us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click on the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. Thank you.